Welcome back to Talkin Baseball, and no feeling like getting ready for a state tournament. I'm Jason Andera. This is Joel Sage, and we are ready. We've got the field set in Class A. We had the last team punch their ticket in Class B on Wednesday night, and we're ready to play a state tournament, and the weather looks pretty decent. So just talk about the anticipation of going to the birdcage and trying to win a couple games in a row.
Yeah, it's exciting, and so was this past Saturday. You know, I went out and watched a few games, and then went home and said, "Well, now what do we do?" Well, now we wait for wait for state, and it's going to be a blast. You look at Brandon Valley; they had an offensive explosion, put up 21 runs, and then as far as the pitching went for the other three teams that punched their tickets to state, I mean, it kind of went good, better, best. Harrisburg was good; allowed only 4 runs in their 2 games. Yeah. Pierre allowed just the 1 run in 2 games. But then, hang on, Sioux Falls Jefferson, 2 shutouts. So we're setting up for a great state tournament.
But let's start in Region 1. We talked about it. This Pierre team, their first game had no problem with Douglas, and Lincoln found a way to get the win over Brookings. So, Lincoln, after an up and down season, found their way, 1 win away from getting to the state tournament. And then we had a pretty good game. Each team scored in the first inning right away, and Pierre found a way to get it done in the long run.
Yeah, the Pats definitely didn't go down without a fight. They gave it everything they had, and just ran into a buzzsaw with Lincoln Keenholz. He's been pitching really well this year. Went 5 innings, so they jacked his pitch count up there, but J.J. Buckles came in and did the rest. So, a good 4-1 game, probably even closer than the score indicated, but nice matchup there out in Pierre.
There wasn't, really insurance runs till the 5th and 6th innings when Pierre added a couple. Lincoln walked Lincoln Keenholz intentionally twice in that game. I mean, this is a guy you can't play around with, and he will make you pay. He doubled right away early in the first inning and got on the board, and then they really pitched around him the rest of the game. But Pierre found a way to get it done. They're going to state with a 4-1 win over Lincoln. In Region 2, Yankton came in as the top seed here. It was hosted in Yankton. They were really looking forward to this. They got a perfect game right off the bat from Isaac Skelhaus over Rapid City Central. Meanwhile, Jefferson took on Sturgis, and this game was fairly close at first too, and Jefferson really pulled away. They looked like a really good team this last month.
Yeah, I mean, the word on Kyler Miratello is that when he's on, he's electric, and he definitely was on Saturday against Yankton. 14 strikeouts, only 1 hit. Went 6 2/3, just ran out of pitches, but heck of an outing for a region championship game.
How do you like that? A guy who's come in I think 3 save situations this year and closed the door to try to rest his arm a little bit, but when he's been called on to start, he has been ready, and no one has been better in the state tournament here, I think, than Kyler Miratello. Drew Reichen, by the way, he gave up just 3 runs in that game. He's pitched more innings than anybody in the state for Yankton, so it was a really good game, but Yankton just couldn't get any bats going, and that's baseball for you. You take your best shot with your best pitcher and roll the dice, and it was Jefferson's day.
Yeah, it sounded like Miratello was dialed in right away. Yankton made a few adjustments, or tried to, and Miratello made the adjustments right back and just kept dealing. So nothing for Yankton to hang their heads about. They ran into a buzzsaw, and they had a really good year. But Jefferson, on paper, it's a 10 over a 2, but we've talked all year long, that's not really that big of an upset. It's a team that's had a slow start, and now they really are peaking at the right time.
Let's move to Region 3 now, where Harrisburg had that home field advantage, and they needed every single run, base runner, everything they could scrounge up to get this thing done. They had 2 really close games, starting with that Huron game where they gave up a home run and tied the game 1-1, and it came down to that last inning.
Yeah, no doubt. Maddox Plack gave them 6 strong innings, and the Huron did get that late home run to tie it up at 1, but Harrisburg came storming back and found a way to load the bases, I believe, and then scored on a wild pitch. Tate Larson did.
And that's how they won in that first matchup. Mitchell got a 7-6 win over Stevens. You called it. He said that would be the game to watch over the weekend, and it was a thriller. Stevens came back late in that game to make it close, but couldn't quite close the gap against Mitchell.
Yeah, I can't give myself too much credit, though. I did not expect 7-6. I thought it'd be low scoring, but definitely another 1-run game, the third 1-run game those two teams have played, and this time Mitchell came out on top, won the rubber match. same thing with Rapid City Stevens, a good year for essentially a young team, and sounded like Brady Bickett gave them a chance, and they just couldn't quite complete the rally, but they did come storming back at the end. And Mitchell found a way to win and punch their ticket to the region championship anyway. Close game against Harrisburg. Took the 3-2 lead into the 7th, and again, Harrisburg came storming back, found a way to tie it, and then won with a Max Carlson walk-off walk.
Yeah, so a walk-off wild pitch and a walk-off walk to get Harrisburg to the birdcage on Saturday. And after the game, we caught up with the Tigers and Coach Mark Abrahamson about that big win.
Again, it's the same thing we always go back to, making sure that we're not giving away the next at-bat, making sure that we can go on to the next guy, pass a bat on to the next guy, making sure that we've got ourselves a chance to win at the end of the ball game, because we know our pitching staff is going to keep it close and give us a chance to execute at the end. It just comes down to having crucial at-bats and having them pay off for us.
We were down ourselves kind of, in those first couple innings when we were down, and, we just kind of had to tell each other just, stay positive, stay up, and we'll eventually put some runs up. So
for starters, I think that we definitely need to do a better job with hitting and runners in scoring position. Seems like we're getting hits, just not at the right time. So if we can focus on getting that guy up, getting that big hit, and getting all those runs, that's what will help us win.
Yeah, we just got a bunch of dogs in this dugout and guys that are going to go out there and fight no matter what the score is. It's just really great to see us putting in the work and seeing it pay off.
It's always fun just to see the enthusiasm and the fight from our team. It's good to be back here after a year hiatus and get to play at the birdcage again.
So Harrisburg in Region 3. Region 4, this was the first ticket that was decided during the day. They started a little earlier in the day, and it got started off with Brandon Valley taking on O'Gorman, and the bats came alive for Brandon Valley. You mentioned it earlier, but that was really a key for this weekend for the Lynx.
Yeah, grab your coffee for some early morning baseball. 10 a.m. first pitch. And Tate Ivers from Brandon Valley had his Michael Jordan game. He was incredibly sick at practice on Thursday and Friday, could barely talk. Wasn't sure if he was going to get to start, but woke up Saturday feeling okay. Took the ball, and guess what? Took a no-hitter into the 6th inning. So he was magnificent on the mound, really dialed in the whole game, and then Eric Roberts came in and did the rest.
I did not know that he was sick, but I talked to him after the second game, and he could barely talk. I can vouch for that. That is for sure. So Brandon Valley gets by O'Gorman 8-1 after a couple of big innings. Washington outlasts Roosevelt. They had to just scratch a few runs across on Jack Riddell, and that's what they did, just enough to get to their region championship game.
Yeah, that was an excellent pitchers duel. Give a ton of credit to Jack Riddell from Roosevelt and Miles Reese from Washington. They put on a show. Both pitchers, I thought, were dialed in the entire game. Roosevelt had a 1-0 lead, had a chance to bring a runner in from third. Ran the contact play, ground ball to shortstop. Throw was a little bit off target, but just enough to record the out at home on a bang play that would have put Roosevelt up 2-0. And then Washington was able to score a couple runs. Roosevelt had a couple plays they probably should have made, but Jack Riddell pitched his heart out, and a really good final outing for the Notre Dame recruit.
For sure, and that would set up Brandon Valley and Washington. And who knew we would have a slugfest? And I'll tell you what, Brandon Valley got a little cushion early, but Washington didn't go away. But then Brandon Valley found a way to increase that cushion later in the game.
Yeah, it was an offensive outburst really from both teams, because give credit to Washington. They swung the bats really well too, but Brandon Valley was on fire. The Lynx were just hammering the baseball all over the field. It kind of started in that first game against O'Gorman. It was only 1-1, and they strung together about 3 or 4 hits in a row right up the middle, started using the opposite field, and then eventually they got to the point where some of their big hitters were able to hammer some baseballs to the pull side. So really used the whole field, hit extremely well. They loaded the bases 4 out of the first 5 innings.
Right.
Took a minute because they scored 1 in the first, nothing in the second, but then boom, the next, I think it was the 3rd and the 5th, they put some runs up, just exploded for offensive output.
And that secured the victory for them, 13-8. Let's hear from their head coach, Jeremy Van Heel, Tate Ivers, Daniel Butane, and Dawson Morick after the game.
coming in the season, one of our goals was to be hosting a region tournament, and we just fell short as the 5 seed. The other goal was to make the birdcage, and yeah, we got that one. I'll take that one any day.
And we just showed up. Usually we show up and we're tired, lackadaisical. Showed up today, amped up. We were ready to go from the start.
Yeah, pitching staff just throwing a lot of strikes is obviously helping us a lot.
We had a conversation about that, Coach Stemkin and I. What is the best way to go get it? I mean, try to keep them off balance, and we had two more guys ready to go. I mean, we just wanted to keep them off balance and go get them, and just trust all of our guys. And if they ever feel like a moment's too big, let's just go get another guy. Go get another guy and keep them off balance.
Our bats are really awake today. Just finally got our bats going. Normally we're struggling to get it like that groove going, but today we were just on it the whole game.
I mean, one thing we've been preaching all year is trying to be aggressive on the base paths and try to cause some havoc. And I mean, we started there. I mean, we got things moving, and a couple innings we maybe ran ourselves out of things, but we also ran ourselves into a couple big innings. And then the bats were hot. That's one thing we've been missing all year. And then all of a sudden we picked the right time to do it. I mean, Daniel Butine had 3 hits and 5 RBIs. Dawson Mork, Aiden Zur, Cole Frisbee, 2 hits. I mean, I'm sure I'm missing some other guys. I mean, but we just came out and hit, and that's what we need to do.
I mean, it feels great. Last year left a sour taste, lost it early, but this year made it all the way, so it feels good, but just trying to win it all.
It's great. We didn't make it last year, so that was kind of unfortunate, but this year we got a good look and we're ready to run.
Goal for Saturday is to come out like we did today. No falling asleep again. Come out and stay hot, and the Lynx just need to keep rolling.
I'm looking forward to Birdcage. You know, they got that new field. I haven't seen it yet, so definitely excited. If they're going to call my name, I'm going to be ready for it.
So just good news for Brandon Valley. All season long, the pitching has really been there for them. Their hitting has been up and down for the most part, but really they have to have some confidence now seeing the way they hit in the regions.
Yeah, it was contagious, you know, and some of it was the bottom of the order kind of sparking things for the rest of the guys. The top of the order really has done a great job of getting on base all year long. Aiden Zur in the leadoff spot and Dawson Mork in the 2-hole. And now, you know, some other guys are really picking up the pace, and they've got some guys really swinging the bats well. So, yeah, that should definitely give them confidence going into state.
Well, let's talk about the state tournament live right here on Midco Sports. Joel and I will be on the call. Starting at 12:05 first pitch on the air at noon, we've got Jefferson taking on Harrisburg. So Jefferson, you know, started out the year as a very promising team, struggled to win games. Their overall pitching staff maybe not as deep as some of these others, but their hitting has been strong, and it doesn't get much better than Kyler Miratello, who probably gets the decision or the ball here on the first game.
Yeah, I would assume Jefferson will go with Miratello, especially after that performance in the region championship. It appears that he's back to full strength, and they're not going to use him as a reliever anymore. Harrisburg will be interesting. You know, will they go with Maddox Plack, or was that a situation where they had him throw the first game because they were a 3 seed and Huron was a 14? You know, will they go?
Options, though.
Yeah, will they go to Kokenge? Will they go to Braxton Kusler? I think they can do whatever they want, and you know, at least give themselves a chance. I'm not picking a winner here. I think both teams are really well set up for a good tournament run.
Yeah, and just like these region tournaments, it's going to be, you know, even if we wanted to pick these games, it would be so hard because these games are very even, and there's strengths and weaknesses on both of these teams. Harrisburg's strength in the middle of their lineup, they've been exploding this year. They've had some games where they, you know, put double-digit outputs, and then they've had games where they've had to eke them out like they did in the regions. They would love to just get some hitting going in this first game against Jefferson, but it's going to be tough against a guy like Miratello for sure.
Right. Every coach I've talked to has used the word wide open.
It is.
That's how the season has played out. That's how the state tournament is probably set up. And you are looking at 2 really good offenses on paper. You look at some of the hitters they have in those lineups, and there's guys that can do some damage. You know, Harrisburg with Max Carlson and Tegan Muntz and Palmer Boyd, they've all swung it really well for them. And then you look over at Jefferson, and you've got guys like Cohen Henry and
Mason Riley right behind him.
Mason
Thomas Heiberger. It just keeps coming at you.
It does, and so it'll be interesting. Will these pitchers be able to neutralize those great offenses? It's going to be fun to see.
We will see, and that'll be our first game of the day, followed by Brandon Valley taking on Pierre. And Brandon Valley, He's played a lot of games this year, more than most teams, and that's what they like to do as often as they can. Pierre, on the other hand, hasn't played as many, but boy, there's no team hotter in the state right now than the Pierre Governors.
Yeah, I mean, 12 in a row, you have to tip your cap to that, but you know, like a lot of people say, everybody's 0-0 now. It's a brand new tournament, and you're just trying to win that first game and get into the championship. And you know, Pierre, I'm sure, feels really good about their chances, but on the other hand, the Lynx, they're looking forward to another matchup with Lincoln Keenholz because they went out to Pierre earlier in the season and he no-hit them. So, you know, they've seen him and they are tested with really good competition. And you know, last week they handled some really good pitching, or this past Saturday they handled really good pitching extremely well.
And you talk about the Brandon Valley Lynx, the depth at pitching, the longer they can stay around and the more pitchers they can pitch, I think they match up better than a lot of other teams. They have Cole Frisbee, Taden Mitchell, Tate Ivers, Daniel Butane, and Jared Zur, all under 2 ERAs, and then Aiden Zur, of course, can deal as well. So they've got a lot of depth there versus a guy like Lincoln Keenholz. You said he pitched outstanding the last time he went against him, a 0.53 ERA on the season, more than 2 strikeouts per inning. There's no ace in the state quite like Lincoln Keenholz, and that's the recipe for winning a one-and-done situation.
Yeah, I mean, he'll have to do what he did against Lincoln because it sounded like they put some pressure on him, but he got the big strikeouts when he needed them. And he'll have to do the same thing because Brandon is an incredibly disciplined team on offense, and I imagine they're going to be able to get some guys on base. And on paper, I think this sets up to be a great matchup because I think we're going to see Tate Ivers toe the rubber for the Lynx, and we know what he's done all year and what he did in the region tournament. So
really
it's
good
set
stuff.
up for a great game.
Yeah, I can't wait. And that is our second semifinal. And of course, the finals, the championship game being played after that at around 5 o'clock on Saturday night. So make sure to tune in for that. This week, the all-state lists came out in Class A and Class B. Tons of great players, as usual, on the all-state list. And out of those players, 7 finalists for Player of the Year were named: Lucas Kamshoff, Lincoln Keenholz, Tegan Muntz of Harrisburg, Jack Riddell of Roosevelt, Drew Reichen of Yankton, Sully Schlimgen, just a sophomore out of O'Gorman, and then Dylan Solik from Mitchell. They usually whittle down this list to just a couple of guys. They have a list of 7, but who do you kick out of a great group like that? A lot of great players, a couple of juniors and a sophomore on this list as well.
Right, all well-deserving nominees, and it'll be interesting to see who gets the nod for Player of the Year. They've all had great seasons. They're great kids too. I've been watching a lot of them play since they were 5-6 years old because my son's a senior too. So they're great kids, and it's been fun to watch them grow up, and it's going to be exciting to see who wins the award.
And that will be announced at the state tournament at the Birdcage on Saturday as well. Well, that'll do it for another episode of Talkin' Baseball. We will be at the Birdcage this weekend on Saturday, Monday, and Tuesday. So if you're out there and you see us, come say hi. We'll see you next time.